I don't like what you're saying and you need to shut up. I'm looking at the way contested or polarised research fields constrain researchers and the impact that it has on academic freedom. I found that there's a kind of emotional, visceral response that happens to some research areas. And so when a researcher is working in this field, they have to deal with people having that kind of gut reaction. And it often takes on kind of semi-scientific critiques, but underlying all of it is, I don't like what you're saying and you need to shut up. I was doing work in the wind turbine syndrome space. It was such a politicized environment. It meant that when I was trying to recruit interview participants, I just could not get a single person to talk to me. It was so hostile to an academic, particularly trying to come into this space and understand what was going on. But I realised that I mustn't be the only researcher who this has happened to. So I started looking around and I realised that this is actually a much more common problem than I thought. My research has looked at case studies, including my own, where researchers have not been able to ask the questions that they deem important or meaningful because of the politicised nature of the debate. So I've been conducting interviews with other researchers who have worked in similarly polarised or contested fields and just trying to find out what effect it had on them personally, professionally, and what they think the implications are more broadly for academic freedom. I'm actually interested in institutional kind of changes to support structures. So some of my participants have said that their departments or their universities said things like, well, what did you expect? Or, you know, you should have gone into a safer field, or, you know, what did you think you were doing asking these kinds of questions? And so the blame is kind of falling back on them, and so they haven't felt like they really have the backing of their institutions. And I think that's a really dangerous precedent to kind of set if researchers feel that, well, if I rock the boat, I'm not going to have the support of my department. They're just going to blame me. They're going to say that I should have seen it coming. Then they're going to stay away from these areas because it's not worth their jobs. It's not worth. They're going to lose funding. They're going to lose a permanent position. They're not going to get promoted. And I think that's a really dangerous thing. I need to see universities backing their academics and saying, you should be able to follow your instincts on this. So in my research, I'm really kind of begging the reader to think about where they draw the line. So we often say, I support researchers being able to ask the kinds of questions that they deem important, except when it comes to X, Y, Z. It's all well and good for you to disagree with that research, but if we draw a line and say, okay, well, you get to ban that, or that gets to be off limits because you don't like it, and we let everyone draw a line around something, then what research is okay? What research is acceptable?